Jeremy Bash, our national security analyst. And Chuck, I'll start with you. In a sense, this document, this Comey statement is vintage Comey, because there's things that Republicans will like and there are things that Democrats will like, and therefore nobody is totally pleased by it.
No, there's not, and it's also very much written with a narrative, and that is something that I think that if you were in the Trump White House, you're really concerned about that because he knows how to weave a tale, and we saw that. I think one of the things that everybody needs to sort of take a breath is there's another thing about James Comey. He doesn't put it all out there at first. So I have a feeling this is an appetizer as far as he's concerned, and that there is, look, there's three, for instance, there's 3 interactions he did not talk about at all or detail at all. Those, he had 9 one-on-one conversations. We're missing 3. That's going to be interesting to hear the stories behind those 3.
Jeremy, you're a lawyer. Do you consider this this document standing alone sufficient for a claim of obstruction of justice?
Well, what struck me, Savannah, is that the president made Jim Comey re-audition for his job. The statute says the FBI director serves for 10 years to avoid this situation. So what the president was doing was he was holding a threat over his head, saying, if you don't pledge loyalty to me, if you don't shut down Flynn, if you don't lift the cloud, I will fire you, and he made good on that threat. So I think there is at least a very reasonable basis for Bob Mueller to proceed here. Now, we need other witnesses. We need to ask other people involved in the Comey firing what was discussed, and that's where I think the White House could exert executive privilege to shut down those witnesses.
And we'll see, because there's a lot more to come here. But Chuck, I know you picked up on an interesting tidbit in this statement, and there's a point where Comey says that the president says, look, if there was some satellite person, someone in my orbit, essentially, some staffer who did something wrong with regard to Russia, that'd be good to know. It comes very close to acknowledging that perhaps something did go on. He just wants to make clear he himself didn't do it.
Look, there has been, by some investigating this, one of the assumptions is Trump himself would not have the details, would not have been told much other than, you don't want to know where we got this information, or that sort of mindset. And then here is now the president almost confirming his own suspicion on that at a minimum. Look, that to me is striking, because there's a number of questions. If I were a senator up there that you suddenly want to ask, you want to ask Director Comey. He said that. Did you immediately take that to the investigators? Is that now a new line that you're pursuing? That phrase alone could be the most important nugget that Director Comey has already shared.
Just about out of time, but Jeremy, as a lawyer, is Director Comey vulnerable to that allegation that if this was so bad, why didn't you do something? Why didn't you raise it right away?
Yes, he is, and he'll have to explain that today. But let's not forget the gravity of the situation. He was investigating an adversary's attempt to interfere in our election. That's about as big as it gets.
All right, Chuck and Jeremy, thank you. And we're just getting started here on Capitol Hill. Coming up, we're going to have a lot more on what you can expect when Mr. Comey arrives. We'll also take a look at the watch parties. Yes, there are watch parties being held across the country. And we should mention, Chuck, Lester Holt and I are going to have